Well, hey, everybody. It's Greg. I'm in my office in Winter Garden, Florida. Have you ever wondered how karaoke ended up on cruise ships? No, probably not. Not surprised. But I'm going to tell you anyway. This is karaoke on a cruise ship according to Greg. I am not 100%, this is 100% correct, but I'm 99.5% sure it is. The year was 1992, and I had gone to work for a cruise line. It was Commodore Cruise Lines, and the ship was the Enchanted Isle. Now, this part is relevant to the story. You see, with cruise ships, you can't get a job on a cruise ship unless you have experience working on a cruise ship. It's a catch-22, I know, but that's the way it is, and they would tell you that. I just got lucky. I had written a pirate show that I wanted to see about getting on a cruise ship. It wouldn't have worked, but I didn't know at the time. I knew a friend of mine from Wilmington, North Carolina, Ray Kennedy, worked with cruise lines. I didn't know exactly how, but anyway, this is before cell phones and social media. I didn't know how to get in contact with him, so I just started calling around. And I found out he was coming to a certain theater because he traveled around a lot. And I called that theater and I said, hey, when Ray Kennedy gets there, would you leave him a message to call Greg Thompson? And here's my number. I live in Orlando. So a couple of weeks later, I get a phone call from Ray, and he's like, I'm at this theater and I'm using the payphone. I look on the wall and somebody wrote a note on the wall, said Ray Kennedy, call Greg Thompson and your number. So he called me. I told him my idea, and he said, I was trying to get in touch with you a couple of years ago. I wanted to hire you as a DJ on a cruise ship. And I went, oh, that sounds like fun. So I forgot about the pirate show. And I said, you got anything now? And he said, no, but call my friend Mia. She hires the entertainers for Commodore Cruise Lines. She's in Miami. I'm like, well, I'm in Orlando. So he said, tell her I recommended you. So I called her, left a message. She called me back. We set up an interview. She said, you've never worked on a cruise ship before. You don't have any experience. She said, and I've got a stack of resumes this thick. She showed them to me. And she said, but, Ray recommended you, and I'm looking at your resume, and yeah, we'll hire you. And you're going to go out of San Diego and work on the Enchanted Isle. So I did. I did a lot of emceeing the cruise staff, and I still can't remember if it's crew staff or cruise staff. But anyway, I had a great time. And I was on there about 5.5 months. And I'm looking at this and what's going on the cruise ship, and I had been enjoying karaoke for 4 or 5 years. And my best friend, Jeff Zachary, was the trainer for Karaoke Showtime. So when I had mentioned to the cruise line while I was working with him, I'm like, why don't you guys get karaoke on here? And the response I got was, karaoke on a cruise ship? No. It wasn't that dramatic, but that was basically the idea. They're like, no, we're not going to put karaoke on a cruise ship because it was considered, low-level entertainment. And listen, I get it. I have seen those shows, jacked up behind a pool table next to the bathroom in a bar. I've been there. But we did karaoke differently with Karaoke Showtime. And like I said, Jeff was the trainer for Karaoke Showtime and showed the MCs how to make karaoke a show. So I went over the cruise director's head when I saw Mia, and I said, Mia, have you thought about putting karaoke on a cruise ship? Same response. No, we're not putting karaoke on a cruise ship. Okay. So when I got off the cruise ship, I actually went to work for Karaoke Showtime as one of their MCs. And I'd not been working for them long, and I said, have you guys ever thought about trying to get karaoke on a cruise ship? And they were like, yes, because karaoke was not on any cruise ship at the time. Cruise lines would not consider karaoke. And the folks at Karaoke Showtime said, yeah, we've been trying, but we can't get through to them. They won't call us back. We can't get a hold of anybody. And I said, well, let me try. So I called Premier Cruise Lines, which I believe at the time they were the cruise line for Disney. Disney didn't have their own cruise line. So I got a hold of the guy with entertainment with Premier Cruise Lines. And I said, hear me out. I said, I think the way I phrased it was, I've been working in the cruise industry, which I had been for 5.5 months, but that got his attention. I said, I think karaoke would go over tremendously on a cruise ship. I said, but why don't you come check out one of our shows? And if you like it, we'll work out a deal. And if you don't like it, that's okay. But come and see what you think. And he said, okay. So Jeff was doing karaoke in Orlando on a Thursday night, and they came by. 2, maybe 3 people came by to check it out. And I wasn't working, but I went, and Jeff and I hosted it together. I just worked for free that night. And they came up and said, yeah, we're interested in this. Why don't you come by and take a look at the cruise ship? So a day or 2 later, we went when the ship was in port in Cape Canaveral, and they showed us the bar on the ship where they wanted to try karaoke. And it wasn't a big place. I think if it held 40 people, it would have been packed. So they said, yeah, we want to try it out here. And I said, well, what is your revenue in here? And he was like, oh, one day last week, I think we did like $200 in here. And Jeff and I were like, oh, this is going to be so easy. So a week later, the company we work for, Karaoke Showtime, which, like I said, that's who I named my karaoke division after, paying homage to them. So the company loaned us the equipment, and we put it on the ship. And, if it worked out, we were going to run everything through the karaoke company. So we put it on there, and the first night, before we even started, the place was packed. They had advertised it, and we went in there and we worked 4 hours, and 30 minutes into the show, the hotel manager comes up to me and he's like, I'm buying you guys drinks the rest of the night. He goes, we have already exceeded our best night, and we've only been open 30 minutes. And I'm like, thanks, we'll have a drink towards the end of the show, but not right now. I don't like to drink. So anyway, we're like, piece of cake. So we were like, yes, we're going to get the contract with this and everything. Well, without going into a lot of detail, the cruise line ended up buying their own karaoke equipment and not hiring people, but they just used their cruise staff to run it, which, from what I understand, the cruise staff was not real happy about because that was more work for them. But anyway, we were the first ones to ever put karaoke on cruise lines. So you're welcome, or I'm sorry. Whichever way you look at it. And the 90s, maybe still, musicians do not like karaoke because it took away a lot of their work, especially in the 90s and 2000s. So anyway, that's how karaoke ended up on cruise ships. And that's that. So I thought I would share that with you. If you enjoyed the story, give me a like and follow me. And I'll catch you guys later. Thanks. You have a good day, and bless your heart in the good way. We'll see you later.